2026 is shaping up to be the moment the long-held dam of secrecy around UFOs could begin to crumble. For decades, this whole conversation has been pushed to the fringes, dismissed as nothing more than science fiction. But now, something is different. The ground is shaking in Washington. A wave of bombshell laws, courageous military whistleblowers, and explosive congressional hearings are all converging, creating a pressure cooker of transparency that the Pentagon may not be able to contain much longer. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's the result of a coordinated, bipartisan effort to force a reckoning with the truth. By connecting the dots, from historical patterns of denial to the explosive allegations now being made under oath, and the new laws forcing the government's hand, we can piece together a startling picture of what could come next. So, what are they preparing to tell us? The secrets that might be pried loose in 2026 are more profound and more shocking than you might imagine. The real sea change began in the halls of Congress. On September 9th, 2025, the House Oversight Committee's Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets held a hearing on UAP transparency that put the entire defense establishment on notice. This wasn't some fringe event. It was a bipartisan demand for accountability. Task Force Chairwoman Anna Paulina Luna set a defiant tone, stating, "This is not about fueling speculation. This is about demanding basic transparency from the Department of Defense and the intelligence community. It is about asking the questions every American has the right to ask. What do we know? What don't we know? And why, in a free society, are we being told so little?" Her statements captured a tectonic shift. UAP transparency is no longer a niche interest. It's a matter of national security and government accountability. She argued that continued secrecy risks a strategic surprise and erodes the very foundation of democracy. But it was the harrowing testimony from decorated military veterans that truly revealed the stakes. And these weren't fuzzy stories from anonymous sources. These were first-hand reports, under oath, from trained observers. Air Force veteran Jeffrey Nuccitelli recounted a series of 5 separate UAP incidents at Vandenberg Air Force Base between 2003 and 2005. He described how multiple witnesses, deeply shaken by their encounters, were allegedly intimidated into silence. He relayed their descriptions of enormous, silent objects, with some witnesses calling them flying buildings that maneuvered in ways that defied comprehension. These weren't just distant lights in the sky. They were alleged to be structured craft, operating with impunity over one of America's most sensitive military installations. Then came the testimony of Navy Senior Chief Alexandro Wiggins, who spoke in his personal capacity. Wiggins described a profound encounter while serving on the USS Jackson in 2023. He testified about a self-luminous, tic-tac-shaped object that emerged from the ocean, an object tracked on multiple sensor systems. According to his account, this transmedium craft then linked up with 3 other identical objects. He made it clear this wasn't consistent with any known aircraft or drone technology. His testimony, and that of others, painted a picture of a reality the public is not privy to. One where U.S. military personnel are regularly encountering objects that appear to be far beyond our own technology. Whistleblower Dylan Borland, an Air Force veteran and imagery analysis expert, gave a damning account of his own experience. He testified to having direct first-hand knowledge of and experience with craft and technologies that are not ours and are reportedly operating without congressional oversight. He alleged that because of this knowledge, his career was deliberately obstructed and that he has faced reprisals from government agencies for over a decade. These testimonies established a clear and disturbing pattern. Credible sightings followed by official secrecy and alleged retaliation against those who dare to speak out. Congress was listening, and it was this tidal wave of credible testimony that fueled the legislative fire for what was to come. The recent hearings in Washington didn't just happen out of nowhere. They're the culmination of over 70 years of official denial, public ridicule, and a steady, quiet drumbeat of inexplicable encounters. To understand what they might admit in 2026, you have to look back at the historical pattern of what they've consistently denied. These aren't just stories. They are well-documented events involving multiple military and civilian witnesses, often backed by radar data, that have remained stubbornly unresolved. Take the RB-47 incident of 1957. An Air Force RB-47 reconnaissance jet, packed with sophisticated electronics, was flying over the Gulf of Mexico. For an hour and a half, the crew visually and electronically tracked a brilliant, glowing object that repeatedly closed in on their aircraft, paced them, and then shot away at incredible speeds. The object was simultaneously tracked by ground radar, confirming it was physically there. The crew, all experienced aviators and electronics specialists, were adamant that they saw an intelligently controlled, physical craft. The official explanation? A weather phenomenon, a familiar conclusion that would be echoed for decades. Fast forward to December 1980, to an event often called Britain's Roswell. Over several nights, United States Air Force personnel stationed at RAF Woodbridge in Rendlesham Forest witnessed a series of bizarre events. Dozens of servicemen, including the deputy base commander, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, saw a glowing, metallic object moving silently through the trees. It was described as triangular, with blue and yellow lights. At one point, it allegedly fired beams of light down into the base's weapons storage area. The incident was documented in an official military memo, but to this day, the US and UK governments have never officially admitted the event involved a non-human craft, with some suggesting the lights were just from a nearby lighthouse. That very same month, back in the US, the Cash Landrum incident unfolded near Dayton, Texas. Betty Cash, Vicki Landrum, and her grandson Colby encountered a massive, diamond-shaped object hovering over a roadway. The craft was blasting out so much heat and bright light that the car's metal became hot to the touch. After the encounter, the witnesses reported seeing a squadron of military helicopters that seemed to be chasing the object. In the aftermath, all three suffered from severe health problems consistent with radiation exposure, including burns, hair loss, and other debilitating symptoms. Despite their physical injuries and corroborating witnesses who saw the helicopters, the government denied any knowledge of the event, offering no explanation for the object or their illnesses. From the Japanese 747 that was stalked by enormous disc-shaped objects over Alaska in 1986, to the two airline pilots who tracked huge, cigar-shaped UAPs for 55 minutes off the coast of Alderney in 2007, the pattern is undeniable. These cases, and hundreds like them, share common threads. Highly credible witnesses, technological data from radar or other sensors, and an official response of denial, obfuscation, or a simple, unsatisfying label: unexplained. So what's behind the curtain? Is it decades of bureaucratic fumbling? Or is it a truth so profound they believe we can't handle it? Two powerful forces are now working together to dismantle this historical wall of secrecy. A high-level insider armed with explosive allegations, and a Congress determined to write those allegations into law. The insider is David Grush, a decorated former combat officer and intelligence veteran. For years, he was a representative to the Pentagon's UAP task force. In 2023, he became a whistleblower, delivering bombshell testimony to Congress under oath. Grush alleged that for decades, the U.S. government has been running a top-secret program to retrieve and reverse engineer crashed craft of non-human origin. He claimed this information was being illegally withheld from Congress, and that he had interviewed dozens of first-hand witnesses involved in these programs. Even more startlingly, when asked directly if the government had the bodies of the pilots, Grush alleged that non-human biologics had been recovered. Of course, these are unverified allegations. The Department of Defense and NASA have stated they've found no evidence to support Grush's claims of hidden programs or alien tech. However, the claims come from an individual with impeccable credentials, delivered under penalty of perjury. And in a stunning development, in March of 2025, it was widely reported that David Grush had been hired as a temporary special advisor to Representative Eric Burleson, a key member of the House Oversight Committee. While not officially confirmed, the implication is staggering. The world's most famous UAP whistleblower could now be working from the inside, helping lawmakers pull on the very threads he exposed. This brings us to the second force, the legislative machine. For years, transparency advocates have been adding UAP-related provisions to the annual must-pass defense bill, the National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA. The FY 2026 NDAA, however, is the most muscular legislative effort yet. After being conferenced, the bill passed the House on December 10, 2025, and now awaits final passage and the President's signature before it becomes law. Its provisions aren't suggestions, they are mandates. First, the bill requires the Pentagon to brief lawmakers on every single UAP intercept by NORAD and U.S. Northern Command since 2004, including the number, location, and nature of the intercepts and all data collected. This would force the government to finally put numbers and details to the rumors. Second, the bill directs the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO, to review all UAP-related security classification guides, tackling the problem of overclassification that's been used to hide information. Finally, it streamlines the reporting process, ensuring all parts of the DoD and intelligence community have to make their UAP data immediately available to AARO. These are not vague requests. They are legally binding requirements designed to systematically dismantle the infrastructure of secrecy. When you combine these new potential laws with an insider like Grush, possibly guiding the Congressional probe, you have a recipe for unprecedented pressure. 2026 is the year these new mandates would be fully implemented, creating a collision course between the secrets of the past and the laws of the present. So, what could this all lead to? If this legislative pressure campaign works as intended, here are a few potential bombshells the government might finally have to address by 2026. These aren't guarantees, but they are the logical outcomes of the path Congress is now paving. For decades, the government's default position on UAP sightings, even from military pilots, has been a shrug. They're unexplained. Maybe sensor glitches, weather balloons, or advanced drones from China or Russia. The FY 2026 NDAA's mandate for a full accounting of all NORAD and NORTHCOM intercepts since 2004 could make this position untenable. If Congress is briefed on 2 decades of data from our most advanced sensor platforms, a stark reality could emerge. They may not just see a handful of isolated incidents, but a clear pattern of incursions by objects demonstrating flight characteristics that are, by any conventional measure, impossible. Think back to Senior Chief Wiggins' testimony about transmedium objects moving seamlessly from water to air. or the accounts from Vandenberg of flying buildings, hovering silently before vanishing. By 2026, the government might be forced to admit, at least to Congress, and perhaps in carefully worded public statements, that they are tracking objects whose performance characteristics simply can't be explained by any known foreign or domestic technology. The narrative could be forced to shift from, "We don't know what they are," to, "We know what they are not." They're not Russian, they're not Chinese, and they're not ours. That admission alone would be a paradigm-shifting event. This is the secret at the heart of David Grush's allegations. A multi-decade program to retrieve and study technology of unknown origin. While the Pentagon denies this, the legislative pressure is building. The new NDAA's provisions targeting overclassification, combined with an insider-guided probe, create a pincer movement. Lawmakers can now be told exactly where to look and what to ask for, and the law could give them the authority to demand it. By 2026, it's plausible that the government could be pressured into a limited but historic admission that a program, or a series of programs, did exist to collect and analyze material from unidentified craft. They won't call it a UFO program. It would be couched in bureaucratic language, a materials science program, or a foreign technology exploitation program. They would likely deny ever successfully reverse engineering anything, and might claim the programs were shut down long ago. But the core admission, that the government has studied physical materials from craft of unknown origin, would be a monumental disclosure. It would validate the core of what whistleblowers have alleged for years, proving the cover-up wasn't just about sightings, but about physical evidence. This is the most sensational, and for the government, the most terrifying secret. It's one thing to admit to recovering metal debris. It's another thing entirely to admit to recovering its pilots. Yet, this is precisely what David Grush alleged under oath, with the specific term, non-human biologics. A full public admission seems exceedingly unlikely. The shock would be too great. However, the pressure campaign might force a tiny crack in the dam. By 2026, we might see the first officially sanctioned hint that some form of biological evidence has been recovered in connection with these events. It would be heavily caveated, perhaps presented as a single, ambiguous case from decades ago. The evidence could be described as anomalous or of uncertain origin, rather than explicitly non-human. This admission might not come in a presidential address. It could come as a declassified scientific paper, a strategic leak to a major newspaper, or a carefully worded answer in a congressional hearing. But an official acknowledgement, however small, that not everything recovered has been nuts and bolts, would change the world forever. It would confirm the ultimate truth at the heart of the UAP mystery. We are not alone. To really understand what's happening, we have to look at the government's public-facing effort to manage the UAP issue. The Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. Set up in 2022, AARO is the central hub for analyzing UAP reports. Its stated mission is to bring scientific rigor to the topic, but its public findings have often stood in stark contrast to the claims of whistleblowers. In its official reports, including a historical review from March 2024, AARO has been clear. It has found no empirical evidence that any UAP is extraterrestrial, or that the government has hidden such information. AARO's data, from hundreds of new military reports, suggests that most sightings are eventually identified as everyday objects. A November 2024 report on 757 new cases noted that 118 were resolved as things like balloons or drones, with another 174 likely heading for the same conclusion. Arrow consistently maintains that most UAPs are just misidentifications. However, the office does admit that a small percentage of cases remain unexplained. In its 2024 report, Arrow highlighted 21 cases that needed more analysis due to reported anomalous characteristics. Even Arrow's former director, Sean Kirkpatrick, and its current director, John Kozlowski, have admitted there are interesting cases they don't understand. This has created a deep divide between the official Arrow narrative and the whistleblower community. At the September 2025 hearing, whistleblower Dylan Borland worried that Arrow was misrepresenting the truth. Many critics, including members of Congress, feel Arrow acts more like a PR tool designed to debunk sightings than a genuine investigation. They see it as a continuation of the old pattern of denial, a graveyard for testimony, as Representative Luna put it. So, while Arrow officially says there's no evidence of aliens, a powerful bipartisan coalition in Congress, armed with explosive testimony, is operating as if the real truth is locked away in programs that Arrow itself can't even access. The year 2026 isn't some magic deadline for a flying saucer to land on the White House lawn. It's something far more tangible. It's the focal point where decades of public pressure, courageous whistleblowing, and, most importantly, the unyielding force of law are set to collide with the government's historical secrecy. We are witnessing a systematic, legislative attempt to dismantle the walls that have hidden this reality for over 70 years. The mandates in the FY 2026 NDAA are not suggestions. They are legal requirements with deadlines. The presence of insiders guiding the investigation transforms it from a fishing expedition into a targeted strike. And the sworn testimony of dozens of military personnel has made it politically impossible for lawmakers to simply look away. The slow drip of disclosure could be about to pick up its pace. First, could come the official acknowledgement of objects in our skies, operating beyond any known technology. Then, a carefully worded admission of a historical program to recover and analyze debris from these objects. And finally, perhaps, the most world-altering secret of all, that the recovered evidence has not always been inanimate. The agencies that have held these secrets are now on the clock. They're preparing their responses and crafting their narratives. But for the first time, the power may have shifted. The question is slowly changing from if we will ever get the truth to when and how much. What do you think will be the biggest revelation to come out in 2026? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to stay on the front lines of this unfolding story, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We'll be tracking every development as we get closer to the year of reckoning.